Dozens of people of East African descent have been charged, convicted, and sentenced for stealing more than $1 billion in taxpayer money from government programs during COVID. As you know, Governor, that is more than Minnesota spends each year to run its Department of Corrections. So I want to give you a chance to respond to this. Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
A few moments later.
Hold on, P, man. Sorry. Back. Out the way, Rose. Out the way. We'll get knocked down. Move.
وعلى السريع أنا محاول إني دبي أنت اللي وضو باسبوركي ولا قاطي وعلى ساوك جرا أنتو قفوا إمبسي لسؤال لكورو إلا كبغض لسؤال عند علي. I don't want to be here no more. I'm so tired of being here. This place. This is where I'm living. I'm so tired of it. It's just like I want to go back. I don't want to be here no more. I don't cut my hair. I don't shave. I don't do nothing. I just want to go back.
Flashback.
First of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up costs, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris's leadership. Now,
I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Walz.
It's the motherfucking DJ Deported.
Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
may I respond to that?
Yes.
So appreciate that. So if you notice, what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics show that he did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you've simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
You know, it's funny. Tim Walz is the guy who came up with the whole J.D. Vance and Trump are weird line back in the summer. Have you ever seen somebody as weird as Tim Walz? I watched that debate last night. I sat around and just could not believe my eyes. I'm friends with school shooters.
I've become friends with school shooters.
Bruh. And then all those motions, those movements of his face.
Before you get freaked out by these new male cheerleaders that the Minnesota Vikings have taking the field today, just remember that in Minnesota, this is pretty much how all guys act. Case in point, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. Which one of them did it better? You've got this new male cheerleader from Minnesota, but then you've got the OG male cheerleader from Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz. I wonder if the Minnesota Vikings put tampons in the locker room.
I don't know if he took some of Hunter Biden's old stash or what he did, but a normal human being does not move around the way Tim Walz was moving that face around.
A few moments later.
This is absolutely crazy. There's a whistleblower that's came out talking about Tim Walz. And this whistleblower reached out to an account on X called DocNet YouTube. Once it was known that Tim Walz possibly might be the VP pick, this individual started reaching out to DocNet YouTube. He had reached out a couple times, DocNet did not respond. And this was the biggest message that got DocNet's attention. It says, Doc, I am so sorry I am bothering you. If you could just hear me out, I can prove what I'm saying. I'm not doing this for attention. I'm not doing this to relive one of the worst times in my life. I'm doing this because I cannot emotionally or physically take seeing this man almost every day over the next 4 years. Here is my phone number. Please call me. When you hear what I have to say, you will have no doubt. I don't want to put it in writing. Please, Doc. So about 2 hours later, he gets another email. It says this, Dear Doc, thanks for the call. I will lay out in detail what has happened to me. I was 14 years old when I met Tim Walz. Like many normal kids, I was very confused about many things. My emotions were that of a typical teenager. Tim and Gwen Walz befriended me. I was a loner. They made me feel special. Tim Walz started telling me secrets about himself. He told me I could trust him with anything. I was very shy and having difficulty. Tim and Gwen extended an invitation for me to go to a concert with them in March of 1995. When we got to the concert, it was just Tim Walz and me. The concert was the Indigo Girls, who I knew nothing about. During the concert, he started to explain to me the meaning behind the lyrics. He started explaining to me that I was gay. The entire time he was explaining to me that I was gay, he was rubbing my back up and down in what I thought was a comfortable gesture. Then the next thing I know, I remember feeling tired, overwhelmingly tired. The rest of the night, I am not comfortable telling you right now. I'm going to put it in a letter. It's difficult for me right now. So then later he sends this in an attachment. Here's my story, Doc. During the concert, I became extremely tired. I don't know if it was the alcohol. I don't know if it was something put in the alcohol, but I remember dancing with Tim Walz. We were slow dancing. I remember his hands inside of my pants a little. He was telling me that it was natural. He was telling me that it was okay. After the concert, Gwen was not to be found. Tim said he would take me home, but we would stop off and get something to eat. Being a 14-year-old, I thought this meant McDonald's. To be honest, I was having a great time. I thought I was beginning to think that I was gay. When we stopped to get food, it was a tavern. I never realized till I was older that it was actually a gay bar. There was only a couple of women in the entire place, but they were not really women. I don't remember how long we were there. I don't remember the drive back home at all. The next thing I remembered, I was naked. I was in the home of Tim Walz. He was giving me oral blank. I remember it only took seconds, maybe a minute for me to blank. I thought this meant I was gay. I thought this meant I was really gay. I did not understand it was just a physical reaction. I remember being upset. I thought Gwen would walk in. He told me not to worry about that. He told me Gwen would not disturb us. He kept reassuring me that everything was okay, that this was normal, and that he was helping me see that I really was gay. The next morning, I woke up on their couch. Gwen was there. They made breakfast, and they acted like nothing happened at all. Tim took me home. I honestly thought I had feelings for him. I thought he was showing me life. I remember feeling so confused, yet so free. I thought this was part of becoming a man. I remember a definitive bump-like scar on his chest. He told me all kinds of secrets. He told me that he was almost deaf from his time in the military. He told me he had served in the Persian Gulf War. When I finally got home, I did not tell my parents anything, but I thought I had feelings for Mr. Walz. He told me many secrets about himself. At least I thought they were secrets. He told me that he was bisexual. He explained what that meant. I would continually see Mr. Walz during 1995. I spent a lot of time with him whenever I could. I can't remember the exact date, but I moved to another county in the summer of 1995. My parents were becoming suspect. In September of 1995, he came to see me. We were drinking. We had gone out that night. We got into an argument when I found out he had planned on taking students to another Indigo Girls concert. On that night, he left very angry. That is the night he got pulled over for drunk driving. He called me and told me what happened. He told me he was going to be fired from his football job. At this time, I was in a different school district. This is when I started to learn I was not gay. This is when I began to know I like girls. We did not talk very often during 1996, but my parents had called the alcohol board and had made a complaint. I would never admit to my parents what happened, but they told the school board they had suspicions of a relationship between myself and Mr. Walz. We probably had 10 to 12 sexual encounters. Now I have to stop now, Doc. I understand you need more details. I will give them. This is enough for now. Take care. Now, again, guys, to be completely fair, these are allegations. This has not been proven. But again, this is definitely something that needs to be looked into.
In that same post, you mentioned Tim Walz, and called him what many Americans do find an offensive word, retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure.
I said what I said.
Like Somalia, where you have a congressman goes around telling everybody about our Constitution, and yet she supposedly came into our country by marrying her brother.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
Was first made a few years ago, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar tried to knock it down by calling it absurd. Then when the media turned up a wedding certificate, Omar went silent, refusing to make any comments at all, saying she does not talk about her family or personal life. Well, now others are talking, like Abdulhakim Osman, a prominent member of the Minneapolis Somali community, who is now on the record telling the Daily Mail that in 2009, Ilhan Omar married her biological brother, Ahmed Saeed Almi, so that he could legally remain in the U.S. and attend college. At the time, Omar was married to Ahmed Hersey, but it was a religious marriage, meaning there was no Minnesota state record stating that she and Hersey were husband and wife, and so marrying her brother would allow her sibling to get his legal immigration documents. But Mr. Osman isn't just saying that Omar married her biological brother. He also gave the Daily Mail the name of the Christian minister who married them. That minister reportedly says she does not want to be involved or interviewed about Congresswoman Omar.
Well, if that's true, she shouldn't be a congressman, and we should throw her the hell out of our country.
Off of that, in that same post, you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find an offensive word, retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure.
You don't think that...
You have a problem with him? You know what? I think there's something wrong with him. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into his state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country because it doesn't function like a country. It's got a name, but it doesn't function like a country. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walz.
Flashback.
There's people coming out saying that Tim Walz sexually assaulted them while he was a teacher in Nebraska. And this has come out over the last few hours, started yesterday. When we started talking about Tim Walz after he was picked, and I was like, that means Josh Shapiro said no, because there's no way they would have picked Tim Walz. There's nothing sane about that man. He's just creepy beyond all belief. I said, Josh Shapiro turned him down. He knew it was a bad idea. So they picked Tim Walz at the last second. They did not vet Tim Walz. They did not look into his history. They did not look through anything to make sure that he's not a sick individual, right? So it turns out that while he was a teacher in Nebraska, we talked about it again a couple months ago. I'm just giving you a little backstory here, that he started some anti-gay bullying club is what he called it. Anti-bullying gay club, something along those lines. And it was supposed to be so that gay students and straight students could figure out how to coexist together. And then all these people were coming out saying that no, he wouldn't let any of the straight kids in. So it was basically just a club for gay boys, which already a little iffy, little whatever. So then there were issues. People said that, he had his DUI. We've talked about his DUI before. He had a DUI. There's going to be information on how and why he got that DUI today. Then we talked about the fact that he wasn't actually a head coach, even though he gives the illusion that he was Coach Walz. He was a head coach and he took these boys to victory and everything else. But that's not the case. He was an assistant coach. And then after he got his DUI, he was let go. But they kept talking about him being let go because of a DUI, even though they tried to smooth that over first. But the fact of the matter is he was let go because of complaints that were brought to the school board about inappropriate conduct between him and students. That's why he was let go. So we're going to get into this right now. I'm just going to go through everything here. Now, this is something I can't prove. Obviously, this is a victim coming forward and saying what has happened with Tim Walz when this victim was a 14-year-old boy from the ages of 14 to 18. Okay. Tim Walz was this guy's teacher, and they had a relationship for 4 years during high school. And this victim is coming forward. The name has not been given out, but it will be, because the victim already knows that in order for this to go where it needs to go and have the impact it needs to have, and for people to understand the severity of what could happen with Tim Walz as a vice president, he's going to have to come out with his name and be fully upfront about who he is and what has happened, right? A lot of people will say, how come this person hasn't stepped forward till now, when he was a governor, before he was a governor? And this person actually started coming out and talking about this numerous times, but everything has always been swept under the rug, things like this. So let me just go ahead and we're going to jump into this here. So Tim Walz, this is the school board for Alliance High School in 1995, which is where Tim Walz was. Contrary to what Tim Walz says, the school board voted 6-0 to fire Tim Walz. Okay, we talked about this months ago, that he was let go from the school. He didn't quit. They told him to leave. Of course, they call it accepting his resignation. They're going to say that in paperwork that they accepted his resignation, but it was because he was told to resign. We know how that works. Joe Biden didn't quit. Joe Biden was told to get the hell out, to get off the Democrat ticket. He didn't resign. He was told to leave, but it has to look like he decided to step out. Same thing here with Tim Walz. He did not leave teaching of his own volition. He was told to leave. And the reason I know he didn't leave of his own volition, because he and his wife, Gwen Walz, and another male teacher all just happened to resign on the exact same day. No, all three were pushed out of this school on the same day for the same reason, and that's their inappropriateness with children that they were teaching. So Tim Walz claimed that he left on his own and was talked into staying, which also is not true. This is the board, just so you know. And then we have the minutes from the school board meeting. I'll show you in just a minute. But this is the school board that told Tim Walz that he was done, that he had to leave, and he was not allowed to be a teacher anymore. Okay, so you have that one there. Let me get back to this, and then we're going to get into why this is a huge deal, why he was told he had to leave, why the school got rid of him. So Tim Walz was a teacher. We know this. There is a gentleman on X called Black Insurrectionist who was reached out to by a victim of Tim Walz. He reached out to him because Black Insurrectionist has done a lot to help the catching people who have trafficked children, has stopped the trafficking of children, and a lot of other things. Okay, so let me try to make sure I got all this in order, because again, the timeline is still, it's just now coming out. There's a little bit more every few hours, and it's very hard to keep in contact or intact exactly which direction this goes. So this is the first email that was sent to Black Insurrectionist, and it says, hey Doc, now that Tim Walz has been picked as the VP, I think it is important we speak. Your work with child trafficked children is the reason I am reaching out to you. I have seen how you have told the stories of others. I am willing to tell you my story with Tim Walz. I became close with him and his wife, Gwen. This man is one of the biggest liars you will ever meet. He manipulated me. He did unspeakable things to me. I can give you details that nobody else can. I know you will keep my privacy. Will you hear me out? So this person reached out to Black Insurrectionists. And there's going to be people who say, why didn't he reach out to the government? Why didn't he reach out to anybody else? And do you trust them? Like, look at everything that's happened lately. You have the Secret Service trying to cover up the fact that they willingly let an assassination attempt against Donald Trump happen. You've got the FBI lying about stuff. You have the sitting president and the sitting vice president lying about crap all the time. You have all this stuff coming out with Diddy at the exact same time, which is absolutely crazy to me. But for this man, I wouldn't want to trust the government to do the right thing either, especially when you're coming out against somebody who's trying to be one of the top parts of government, you know, the vice president of the United States. So I can understand why he hasn't reached out to government officials before this, okay? But the fact of the matter is, there is a person coming out saying that Tim Walz sexually assaulted him, and he has very detailed timelines of this happening. And like Kamala has said since the beginning of her campaign, believe the victims. So I believe this victim, right? Why else would you want to put yourself through something like this national attention that it's going to get if you were not serious about it? I believe victims all the time until it can be proven that it's wrong. So right now, I believe this man that's coming forward until, or if they can prove that something's wrong here, I believe the victim. Okay, so this is the very first DM that this person sent to Black Insurrectionists. Said, if Tim Walz is the VP pick of Kamala Harris, I have information on him that is of a personal nature, as he was a teacher of mine at Alliance High School in Nebraska. And if you want to know more, please reach out to me because I trust you, kind of thing. And Black Insurrectionist wrote back and he goes, I highly doubt Tim Walz is going to be the pick. I don't think there's any way possible she does not pick Shapiro anyway, which is what I said in the beginning. They picked Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro realized it was, tying himself to a dead horse and getting dragged around. So he didn't take the VP nomination, and Tim Walz was all that was left. Again, they didn't have time to vet him. It is what it is. So this is what happened. Black Insurrectionists had a phone call conversation with this man. And this was on August 9th. And this is a email that was sent to him. And I want to just tell you right now, there's some graphic nature in this. So just, you know, put on your big girl panties and your big boy ears and all that stuff and pay attention. Reading this thing from this grown ass man to another grown man, it's spicy. Like, it sounds spicy. That's the only way I know how to phrase this. And this is what they're considering. Tim Walz considers G-rated. Okay. Thanks for the call. I will lay out in detail what has happened to me. I was 14 years old when I met Tim Walz. Like many normal kids, I was very confused about many things. My emotions were that of a typical teenager. Tim and Gwen Walz befriended me. Now, Tim and Gwen Walz, just side note, both worked at the same high school. They were both teachers in the same high school, okay? He says, I was a loner. They made me feel special. Tim Walz started telling me secrets about himself. He told me I could trust him with anything. I was very shy and having difficulty. Tim and Gwen extended an invitation for me to go to a concert with them in March of 1995. When we got to the concert, though, it was just Tim Walz and me. The concert was the Indigo Girls, who I knew nothing about. During the concert, he started to explain to me the meaning behind the lyrics. He started... the entire time he was explaining this, he was explaining to me that I was gay. The entire time he was explaining to me that I was gay, he was rubbing my back up and down in what I thought was a comforting gesture. Then the next thing I know, I remember feeling tired, overwhelmingly tired. The rest of the night, I am not comfortable telling you right now. I'm going to put in a letter. It is too difficult for me right now. And then Black Insurrectionist says, you know, I understand how difficult this must be for you. And then he goes to clarify. He's like, I just want to be clear that you were 14 years old. You're at a concert alone with your teacher, an Indigo Girls concert, which if anybody knows Indigo Girls, that was like lesbian rock, like back in the day. Like they were straight Lilith Fair, Sarah McLachlan style, whatever, girl for girl kind of stuff, right? And then he's asking him the questions. He's like, were you served alcohol? If you're feeling overwhelmingly tired, were you drinking something? You know, was the concert in March of 1995? He's trying to, get all the details here. And what's crazy is this isn't the one that's all not G-rated. It's a little more extreme on the next one. What's crazy here is that you think as a parent that you should be able to trust the adults in your child's life, right? You should be able to trust their teachers, their coaches, their pastors, their doctors, their everything else. And unfortunately, we keep seeing time and time again that these grown individuals cannot be trusted. But the problem here is a lot of kids are going to go through situations with adults and be scared to tell their parents. One, because they don't want their parents to feel guilty, or they don't want their parents to feel like they did something wrong. Two, a lot of these times these kids are being groomed. They don't understand that what is happening is wrong, or they're scared to come forward because what if they get in trouble? You know how emotions work. But these kids need to know that it's not their fault. When these adults do things to them that trusted adults should never, ever do, it is not the fault of the victim. It is not the fault of the child. And this guy finally coming out and having this conversation and telling people about Tim Walz and everything that happened, people are like, well, why did you wait? There are people out there, you will never know the things that they have gone through because of how it has affected them mentally. They've either stamped it down or they've held it in because telling people might make them look bad. It might hurt other people. So they keep it to themselves. And this guy, for, however many years, has kept this to himself. And now he's like, listen, this man could be the possible vice president of the United States. He has already gone through in his state of Minnesota and made it so there's tampons in boys' bathrooms. He's made it so that the word pedophile has been erased from any sort of sexual assault terminology. Pedophile is not the word that is used anymore. They've taken it away. They don't want it to be something. They don't want people labeled as pedophiles in Minnesota. Why would the governor of Minnesota take the word pedophile out of all context there unless he himself does not want to be labeled as a pedophile? To take that word out is crazy to me. To put in this new MAPS, minor attracted person, whatever, is absolute bullshit. And call it what it is. If Tim Walz was touching a 14-year-old boy, not only is he gay, he's also a pedophile. He's a gay pedophile. That's so many struggles this man is working with. Like, normally they say pick a struggle, pick one thing. That's a lot right there to deal with. And to put that onto a 14-year-old boy is absolutely crazy.
A few moments later.
Obama, now it feels like you're asking for it. So just recently, Barack and Michelle Obama would go on a podcast where they would address their recent divorce allegations. In the midst of discussing the allegations, Barack Obama made the claim that young boys need a gay man in their life for guidance and that only having a father around isn't enough. He believes being around gay men helps young boys develop a broader perspective. But is that not what a mom and dad is for? I mean, your household had only one father in it, right? I'm not going to say what everyone else is thinking, but y'all pay attention to this interview and let me know what you think about it down below.
That's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
What? I think Tim Walz might be putting on a MAGA hat by the end of this. But forget Tim Walz for a minute. J.D. Vance, a lot of people, when they chose him as VP, they said, oh, you know, he's not a great choice. J.D. Vance was a freaking powerhouse. I mean, I sat there. That was a masterclass in how to debate an opponent. He did it civilly. He seemed very, very, very much like he cared about Walz when Walz talked about his son went through, the 17-year-old son went through a shooting. Honestly, I mean, JD, right away he said, wow, I'm sorry. Who would even think to do that? That's like unbelievable stuff. And we saw it, and it showed class, it showed grace, it showed dignity. And there were a lot of moments like that. Tim Walz couldn't even tell you why he went to freaking Tiananmen Square, but he didn't even go when the massacre was there. He was sitting there trying to come up with, well, you know, I used to ride bikes in my hometown, and yeah, I'm a knucklehead. Tim, Tiny Tim, Horseman Tim, Doggy Lover Tim, please go away somewhere.
Governor, you say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about the idea that if we made America less self-reliant, less productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the wisdom and the courage to say to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American energy. We're going to make more of our own stuff.
When it's time to go, you can choose how. You can wait for enforcement, or you can leave on your terms. The CBP Home app lets you self-deport with dignity, directly and securely. Don't wait. Decide how it ends.
Crying harder. Crying harder. Trump is your president. Crying harder. Crying harder. Trump is your president.
On the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" ! Catch! !
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core.
Hey, let me shut down the city! We are at war!
We're in a war right now.
We are at war.
So you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
And that's why the gloves are off.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism
that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
And yes, there are many threats to democracy. We see it with these extreme candidates.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
You can only push people so far, and then they start to take matters into their own hands.
What the American public want is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight.
You know, this is literally call to arms.
The MAGA movement is a threat.
But Michelle says that, when they go low, we go high. No.
With all due respect, if they go low, we don't go high.
When they go low, we kick them.
We take them to the mud and choke them out.
And make sure that they stay down. And you know what? Kick them when they're down, because they deserve it.
Get up in the face of some Congress people.
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your...
We have to fight this in the streets.
And we're going to fight it in the streets.
It's time to step out of your comfort zone and step out into the streets.
To our Republican colleagues, if you do not see the light, we will bring the fire. Resist! You and your little friend off of Twitter. Y'all about to find out.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
He's not going to have a third term. He may not finish this term.
That's the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. Just saying. There will be news sometime. Just so you know, there will be news.
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith in my life.
But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay, too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.